Okay, let's get our semantics on superlatives out of the way before this video gets underway. Connor Bedard and the video that we uploaded a few minutes ago, that is worst case scenario. Right here with PLD, by the way, thank you to Anthos for the subscription here, popping up in the Streamlabs while we're recording this video. For PLD, Pierre-Luc Dubois, things are getting worse. With an E, not with a T. Because when it comes to PLD and his entire situation as an LA King in 2023-2024, I don't think anybody could have expected this, but at the same time, this isn't really, all too surprising, you know? PLD was always a very intriguing kind of player because he was taken 3rd overall in 2016, taken above Jesse Puljujarvi, just behind Matthews and Laine, a big power forward two-way center who could do some really good things at both ends of the ice. That was always the promise with Pierre-Luc Dubois. And it's what the Columbus Blue Jackets thought they were getting when they took him in that 3rd overall spot. Oh boy, I was gonna say 5 years ago, but no, that's not 5 years ago. 8 years ago? Oh my goodness. We're getting old, fam. This is bad. But PLD was a fine player in Columbus. 61 points, 82 games played. But then you started to see the prima donna-like attitude. The guy wanted out, and you could really tell from the way he was playing in Winnipeg that he wanted out. He was lazy, going out there for some cardio skates, not doing anything. The last shift that Pierre-Luc Dubois played as a member of the Blue Jackets in 2020, this will go down in infamy as one of the worst moments the Blue Jackets had ever seen with one of their homegrown talents. PLD then got traded to Winnipeg. He was good in Winnipeg, 63 points, 73 games played last year, but he did not want to sign in Winnipeg. And there was an entire conversation going around as to whether or not he'd go to Montreal, whether or not he'd be open to any other team. It was always Montreal, 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 because he is from Quebec. That was the entire conversation with Pierre-Luc Dubois, but he eventually got traded to LA and signed his $8.5 million AAV extension that goes on till 2030-2031. This guy is on the books for a while, and this season he is at 16 points in 37 games played, on pace for about 36 points over a full calendar year, and I don't know about you, but any two-way capable guy, any one of these players that plays a defensive shutdown game, none of these guys are worth $8.5 million a year if they're only getting you 36 points a season. I'm sorry, no Patrice Bergeron out there producing less than half a point a game is worth 8.5 mil, no matter how good his defensive game is as a center. So, where have things gone that has made this conversation even worse? Well, yesterday, the LA Kings had themselves a game, and yesterday, Pierre-Luc Dubois was not placed anywhere near the top 6. In fact, he was placed on the 4th line. Blake Lizotte looked to have been the 3rd line center for the Kings. Pierre-Luc Dubois starting at the 4th line center position. The LA Kings have an $8.5 million 4th line center, a guy who is just disappointed time in and time out every time he goes to a new team because of some inevitable attitude and lackadaisical play. Here's the reply from Dennis Bernstein. Tell me more about how this was a great trade, Exedy goes out there and asks. Bernstein then says, I don't know if it was a great or bad trade. If you want to define it as bad based on Gabe Vilardi's 21 games in Winnipeg because that's all you have to measure it, then have at it. There also was a few extra tweets here. Russell Morgan said, hey, Todd McClellan is sending a message to Pierre-Luc Dubois by demoting him to 4th line center duties. And then there is a reply, PLD doesn't strike me as a guy that will be motivated by a demotion. And you can see he's proving it. Because, when Pierre-Luc Dubois gets given the bad hand, he's not really the kind of guy to go out there and force a better position. Irfan Ghaffar says this, remember when the Jets absolutely robbed the Kings? Pierre-Luc Dubois for Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, and Gabe Vilardi, and a 2024 second. PLD was on the Kings' 4th line tonight. Now, to try and answer the question as to what's going on here, we do have some Reddit threads, we do have some comments made by Kings fans that analyze and assess this situation with LA. This is the thread from Alpha Cheese. It's talking about that same tweet we looked at earlier. Dubois is looking more and more like Daigle. Dude just wants to live the celebrity athlete lifestyle while not wanting to play. If only there had been warning signs, though, because this totally wasn't a thing that we did not see in Columbus and Winnipeg. Here are what some Jets fans have to say, responding to this comment. Seriously though, every time I saw him on the Jets, he was an absolute force. I wasn't expecting this downfall from Pierre-Luc Dubois at all. Danny goes out there and says, if you pick the right 30 games of every season, you can see that player. He is genuinely a force to be reckoned with when he is all in. That was the issue though. You never got that all the time with PLD. Another Jets fan says, yeah, he is a force when he wants to be all in. He just doesn't want to do that all the time. Then there's the idea saying that, hey, it was a contract year last year, so maybe there was some extra incentive for PLD to actually try in 2022, 2023, but now that he's got the bag, now that he's got that $8.5 million AAV deal, then okay, now it's time to cruise along, who really knows? Guy's a genius. Sign a huge contract, apply minimal effort, low ice time equals lower chance of injury, live the LA lifestyle with no worries about it. Honestly, sounds like a pretty good marketing strategy. Sure, you get 3 hockey cities worth of fans to go out there and hate you at the end of the day, but what's a little hate without a little love, right? And he's loving life right now, living in LA. So PLD, marketing genius going out there. Pretty evident when he gave up in Columbus. Yep, that's not any new news. And then we had ourselves a few extra comments here. Dubois is going to make his agent earn every cent of his commission. Yeah, that's pretty true too. The guy laughing all the way to the bank, not just PLD, but the agent who got him the deal at the first place. Here are some extra thoughts that I thought were also interesting to bring up. The question asked by James himself, what happened to Dubois? I'm not familiar with his situation enough and I just thoroughly looked into it. The guy is on pace for 36 points, 8.5 mil a year. What's going on? Top comment here. Man, the top 5 of the draft fell off. Yeah, we're not really going to be talking about that. That's a little extra. Matthews is good. Laine, Dubois, Puljujärvi, Juolevi. Yeah, not a great crop of guys, isn't it? But here is an actual answer from ZG9064. Our power play on the Kings, which is where he's been the best over the course of his career, is completely dysfunctional, so Dubois is not getting as many power play points. His line mate quality has been pretty bad. His primary point production has been generally matching what it has been in the past, but he only has 2 secondary points on the season because Alex Laferriere and Arthur Kaliev aren't producing without him. Since his initial short stint with Kevin Fiala, he's played a total of 1 full game with a top 6 winger, which was Adrian Kempe, where he had 2 points, including 1 of his secondary assists. So not only has Pierre-Luc Dubois been disappointing just regularly on the score sheet, but a lot of the line mates around him haven't been producing either. Now, Alex Laferriere, I feel, has been a pretty alright player. Arthur Kaliev, we actually made a video about him earlier in this season, talking about how Kings fans are starting to give up on the guy. But PLD is ultimately the biggest force being dragged down by this quality of line mates. Here's another reply. Why aren't they utilizing him in the top 6 with better wingers? There must be a reason. Is he terrible defensively? I'm genuinely interested because you sound like someone who actually watches him and isn't too quick to make a joke bashing him. The reply says, because Kopitar has 36 points and Philippe Danault has 22 points. They play center on those lines and they're both excellent defensively. Which one are you going to swap out? The struggle this year has been finding the right line combinations to play with Dubois, so they're mixing up the lines to see what works. Then why acquire him? Well, because teams deep in centers generally win cups, and that's kind of the philosophy here. You want depth at center. Kopitar, Danault, Dubois, if everybody's playing to the best of their ability, it's a really good time. But PLD is not playing to the best of his ability, and the line mates he's playing with aren't really allowing that to happen either. So things have gotten worse here for PLD. It's not really the best way to go out there. I mean, there are some extra thoughts here that I think are interesting to acknowledge as well. But when it comes to Pierre-Luc Dubois, I don't think anybody could have expected this, but as we had said, it's not necessarily surprising. The guy is now a 4th-line center making $8.5 million a year. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the way Pierre-Luc Dubois has progressed in LA. If you are a Kings fan, because I know we do have a lot of fans from them that go over and check out our videos from time to time, what's going on here? Is this just the natural progression of a center who has worked his way down the lineup and who isn't as valuable as Kopitar and Danault? What are your thoughts on Blake Lizotte being placed over him? And do you think this is going to last? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.